Hello everyone, how you doing today? Thank you all to come out and join us. Um, yeah, just wanted to hit off on something now. It's probably going to stay sweet. It's not going to stay too long tonight. But a lot of questions I get about can you make a full-time living, so on and so forth, selling clothing on eBay. And the thing is, you can. You can make that living. You can be successful at it too, but it's going to take some work. It's going to take a learning curve, and it might not be exactly cut out for everybody. You kind of gotta work at it, and you kind of gotta find your niche. Everybody has their niches, and we fell into this one. A lot of it, I guess, is based on where we live in the country, so on and so forth. It actually, we find a lot of designer brands, and we can pick them up for what I feel is a good enough profit to make a good enough return. So with that being said, give a few minutes for everybody to come in. Little shout out to certain people I see in the chat. Kyle Yard Sale Hunter, we got Michael Pierce, Mr. New York Hustle, my brother on Long Island. We got Dawn, California Picker with a K. We got Righteous Reseller, L&L Resale, Robert. What's up? Mr. Walking Picker, Chris. Got Rick from the UK. Resale Ronan, Paul, how you doing? But it just comes into play that it can be done. There's a lot of different things. If anybody really has any questions, I will get to them, but try to hold off to kind of a little bit so I can remember to, because I'm going to probably lose a lot of questions here early on if I start to ramble, so on and so forth. Thai boy, you find the birionis at the thrift stores or estate sales. That's where you find birionis. It's where you find anything. Or you can buy stuff on eBay also and flip it back onto eBay. But let me see here. All right. So I got too many windows open. So one of the questions, is basically we did on eBay last year approximately 120. I want to say about 105 was the gross number. Then you include the shipping, it was well over or just over 125, or no, yeah, somewhere around there. I should have wrote down the number, but 100, let's say 125, make it simple, easy number to digest. So there was about 20,000 in what people would consider to be shipping costs. A lot of people do free shipping, and it depends on what you got into the items. But I really don't like free shipping, and especially with the shipping rate. When I was doing shipping this morning, it kind of, some of the prices jumped up, but 15, 10, 15, 20%. You're paying for that out of your pocket. It's kind of hard to really deal with. Like I said, if you give any questions, I will get to them more so in the end. Let me see here. Just give you a screen share real quick. And you see right here, we did last year, our defect rate is always under 2, luckily. It's been getting kind of high the last few months. It's been sitting right around that, just under 2%, but I'll be so happy next month when this thing's finally finished because it's a pain in the butt. You see right here, I mean, last year we had about 1,980. We just missed 2,000 transactions for a total of 105,000. Then if you include shipping, of course, it was a lot more. And then you see right here, for the time on this account, I've sold basically just over $250,000 with 5,000 transactions. It comes actually 4870 on this account, and in the last year, it's actually 5318 per item sold. So I mean, I enjoy actually selling higher end profitable clothing, but you can make a living selling clothes. I feel anywhere in the country. There's ways to get clothing. If you don't have the best brands in the area, it's very good that you may be able to find an outlet, or there's always ways to find cheap clothing. You just have to come up with the way to get it. It might be buying out a dry cleaner of their unclaimed merchandise, run ads on Craigslist, or a lot of thrift stores will do half off days or even dollar days. I think Golden Finger Picker down in Fort Walton Beach has dollar days, and that's crazy when you think of that, because you could pick up suits and sport coats for not much money for $1, and I don't even think it has to be a great brand, and you can turn around and make $30-$40 on just run of the mill, everyday clothing. I mean, it's very possible. It can be done. It might be more work because it takes a lot of research. You have to kind of get into it and um, learn the niche a little bit. And there's no real shortcut way to do it. There's been guides and books out, but the problem is a brand that runs good this month kind of dies off the next year, and so on and so forth. So just kind of stick with it and kind of just really figure out what works best for you. There's no shortcut. You can go into eBay, go into their sold listings, and kind of look up certain things. By no means am I an expert. I just get kind of lucky, came into this niche and learned as much as possible in a short period of time. And clothing is readily available everywhere. It's why I kind of love it. And if I moved, I would have to probably figure out a different way to sell it. And you don't need a warehouse. You don't need or anything like that. You could do this from your house. We did this from our house, and I could do this easily from my house again if I had to. It would not be that big of an issue. Spare bedroom is probably all you need, or a garage, or a basement. There's some give and take to the space that is needed for this. But almost anything will sell on eBay brand wise if you get into it cheap enough, I believe. It's everybody, there's people that they'll shop at Sears, or they shop at Walmart, or they shop at, that's their favorite brand. Most people don't even, they think like Ralph Lauren's top. And and then you got people that run around and they buy everything that's Ralph Lauren and you're paying up for it. That's probably the issue that a lot of people have. They pay up for a lot of these brands because they think they're gonna give them good returns. Or Tommy Bahama, another brand that I almost stay away with. You know, and there's a lot of different things that you have to, you know, pay attention to when doing clothing. It is a learning process. But other people are here. I mean, a lot of it that makes it, you have to build up. It took us 2 years to get to the point where I could do this full time, and we make a very good living doing this. I mean, we have a house, a really nice house in a nice part of the country. You know, we have, you know, newer cars. You know, both car payments, unfortunately. Um, Other than that, I got no credit debt or anything like that. Got a warehouse that starting to become a pain in the ass. I'll save that for another day though. Um, we go on vacations all the time, and a lot of that is working for ourselves. We have time to go to other places. I mean, we've been to Niagara Falls. We've been to, in the last year, Niagara Falls. We've been to Florida. We've been to the Dominican Republic. We've been to Maine 3 or 4 times. See my parents in New York probably 3 or 4 times. I mean, it's just fun to get up and go for 4 or 5 days whenever you want to. And you know, you put your store on vacation mode if you have a eBay store subscription, and you just do what you need to do to get some sales going. But I feel that anybody can do this. It just may take a little while to catch on and to build that foundation. We hover around 800 listings. I'm actually a little under that. I actually had a bunch of listings and today that I forgot to relist. I probably will do that after this. But you know, it's one of those things. I mean, anybody, and sometimes it's not your sometimes it's not your cup of tea, I guess. A lot of people just have an issue adapting to it, or they jump in too quickly and they'll hire people, and they go out because they think they need a different place to store clothing. And another big thing is a lot of people don't have a spouse on board with them, so people easily, you know, you're coming home with clothing and your spouse is looking at you like, what are you bringing home this used clothing for? What are you doing with this? This is taking up space. I mean, you know, nothing happens overnight. You kind of have to build brick by brick, you know, to get there. And there's no real fast track way to get there. You know, there's no get rich scheme, but you can make a good living. And, you know, you just work at it again and again. And there's a lot of different things that go into it. Like, for instance, for us with listing, my wife helps with the business. She's basically full-time, helps me with everything. And she takes the pictures and she helps organize the stuff. And then my job is basically to list it and ship it when it sells. That's basically what I do. We have our parts in the business. Now, when I list stuff, I love to list stuff in groups. So I'll take a stack of, like, we had a bunch of Brooks Brothers dress shirts. I think we had like a dozen or so. I'll stand and have all those taken pictures of, and that way when I make the listing, I already have kind of an idea. I just go to my listings, I kind of get an idea of what they're selling for lately, and then I click on that item, sell similar, and I just change a few of the keywords to fit that description, change the size, change the pictures, and I list. After that, I sell similar again. And if I'm getting in a groove, I can bang out. I can do one of those in every 5 minutes and just go, go, go. And very easily you'll do that. But if you're gonna do one suit jacket and then go to the next thing it's a sweater and then go to the next thing it's a pair of shoes and then come back and do a woman's blouse, guess what? You're gonna take a lot more time to actually get that stuff listed. And it's a good idea really to have an idea of what you're going to list that item before. I think a lot of people get caught up too much time trying to research something. There's certain times where, yes, you should research it, but if you got a camel hair Brooks Brothers jacket and you're looking for that specific one, basically it's the material that's going to sell it, and you kind of look for an idea of where it should sell. And you know you go through with that idea of it, and then just okay, list it, get it done with. I think too many people spend a lot of time trying to find this specific same shirt, and for whatever reason it might have sold a lot higher at an auction, or just somebody had it for some crazy price. I don't think eBay's sold things are always 100% accurate. Some things sell on sales and they don't really show it, so on and so forth. But what else here? So I like to do that. That way I can list things pretty quickly. I'm listing the same kind of things. I don't do any templates either. Templates don't really work with today's eBay, I think. You want to be quick and in and out with your listings as quick as possible. I've talked about it for years. I kind of my style is kind of the men's way of listing. I basically copy and paste my description and put it in the bottom, and I put my conditions on floors, and then I'll always write from a smoke and pet free house, and then I go on to the next thing. I don't try to spend too much time on a template because I really don't think it matters now with a lot of people buying on mobile devices. So with that being said, it's kind of just like just go and get it done and move on and do your listings as quick as possible. That's how I do it, and I just feel like it's an easy way to do it. Have good pictures, and eBay allows you to have 12 pictures, so take 12 pictures. Don't what's the word? Don't um, don't put one picture and then just walk away from your listing and hope it's going to sell. Take a picture of the front, the back, close up of a design. If there's a floor, take a picture or two of the floor. Take a picture of the tag, the size tag, the material tag, whatever tags you need. I think with almost every suit we have on eBay, we use 10 to 12 pictures of everything, just that the customer has a very good idea of what they're going to buy, what it looks like. Includes measurements in your listing. I don't know how many people do not take the time to use measurements. I don't get it. Unless you want to start digging stuff out and adding measurements every time somebody questions you about it, because not every size and every brand fits the same. A lot of Ralph Lauren shirts run big, as a lot of brands like Fred Perry run a little smaller. All Saints run a little smaller. So you kind of just want to see, like, kind of go about it and kind of figure it out, but it's a big help. You kind of want to add that and have it there. I think it works. Returns, you get this so much. I don't accept returns. I think returns are a big thing. People want to see you stand behind what you're selling. Offer a 14-day return. Don't fight a customer they want to return something. Just send it back, and then just yeah, I lost my train of thought at the moment. Yeah, do accept returns. Don't fight everybody over it. People buy clothing all the time. They don't like the way it fits and so on and so forth. People want to be able to know that you're going to stand behind your product. And I know people are, oh my God, it doesn't, I'm getting this return. It's like, I've had things returned twice before, and then I sold it a third time. If it sells once, it sold twice. It's going to sell again. Yeah, some returns suck. I've had $300 and $400 returns before, and they stink when you get one of those nice big returns. But it is what it is. You just go about your day. I mean, you got to put yourself in the buyer's perspective. If you were a buyer, would you buy from somebody that did not have no returns? I wouldn't. So you got to really pay attention to that. Shipping is another big thing that I don't know. I see a lot of clothing sellers get caught up in shipping issues and so on and so forth. I mean, unless it's first class, I'm charging shipping for it. I'm not going to sell something for $15 and then take $8, $9 to ship it. It makes me no money. So you see it that there's a lot of different things that go into it, but it's easily attainable, and you can do well with this. Mostly our sales every month are between our average item sold is between $50 and $60 almost every month. So it's really fun. I enjoy doing this. So with that being said, I covered a bunch of different things. I'm kind of going to get into some of the questions. There's a bunch of questions over here. And if you got any other questions or anything that you'd want to know about, just let me know so I can answer them as quick as I see them. But California picker, do I charge a restocking fee? No, I do not. I tried a restocking fee and my sales actually dipped down pretty bad. I was part-time then, so it didn't really hurt me as much, but I don't like restocking fees. I think that's, and it's, if you're I mean, maybe if you're doing free shipping, I could see doing a restocking fee because you want to kind of cover that shipping. But if you're charging shipping and then doing a restocking fee on the end of it, I kind of think that's overkill. Just my thought. But Rick the picker in UK, is it all to do with the right brands and picking smart? I mean, certain brands sell better than others. I focus on I focus on one higher end clothing, and I kind of get an idea of what sells. There's certain mall brands that a specific piece of clothing will sell from them for good money, like Banana Republic. Their suits sell for good money. They're two-piece suits. But I would almost sell nothing else from that brand because I could not get it cheap enough to where it worked out. But let's say you're at a dollar sale at one of these thrift stores and you came across 5 or 6 Banana Republic dress shirts. You could probably get $15, $20 for them, and you can do well with them, because your investment's small. So a lot of it depends on what you have to invest in that product to get the return that you want. So, but for me, I base myself after brands for the most part, and I think you get better at picking, but there's no flu. I see things that sell for other people and they don't sell for me, and I'm like shaking my head, frustrated. Like, why is that not selling for me at that price? You know, so you just watch for flaws. That's probably the biggest thing. I try to check shirts all, you know, I don't know how many times. Buttons on specific shirts, Thomas Pink and like Eaton shirts have these thicker buttons. They're always cracked for a lot of the time. Check for those, or check the collars of shirt, the pits of shirt. Look for rips. You got to really focus on looking at shirts and really pay attention to what really works and what doesn't. You know, but when it comes to calling, you gotta go by condition. Condition's a big part. Condition and brand, probably the two biggest things. Righteous resale. Do you do vintage or military clothing? I have not really had too much luck with military clothing. I do pick up some vintage clothing from time to time, and I have done pretty well with it. It's not something I do often enough because it's not my thing. That's, you know, Millie, who's in the chat. That's her thing. You know, that's not really my thing. And there's other people, you know, or if I did Etsy, maybe I'd get more into it. But for sure, that is not my my niche all that well. Susan Hutchison, I can't seem to sell really good ball caps. How should I price them? Ball caps are a very interesting thing. Certain brands, vintage brands, really sell. Other than that, I would not pick up a ball cap. That's my preference on that. I go after like Sports Authentic or the Game Starter, Logo Athletic. And they have a lot of different designs of hats. And I pass on a lot due to condition. But if they're newer tags, and sometimes I'll even look them up to get an idea if that specific style is selling, because there's so many different styles. Certain ones will sell, certain ones don't. You know, there's certain ones that you can get a few $100s for. But look up vintage snapbacks and just search from highest to lowest, put in used, and you'll be surprised on what certain styles get over others. But that's, you know, that's all I can say about the snapbacks. It has to be a specific, and in certain teams to do a lot better than others. So you know, there's certain hats that there weren't many made of, and so on and so forth. Just because of the team or where they were, the popular team. I bet you almost any hat in the 90s, you would probably see more Chicago Bulls and Chicago White stuff and like Colorado Rockies and Shark stuff than anything else. But a lot of that stuff has a big following too. Let me see here. Florida Picker. How many hours do you put in a week? How many days per week do you source? I really only source about once a week. It may be at thrift stores. It may be at a few estate sales, yard sales. I go to our local. We have a local Salvation Army and Goodwill, probably within a mile of my house, and I'll visit them almost every day. I visit them, and I'll find something, almost something. And there's certain times where I don't find anything. And, you know, it's not, trust me, it's not a bad idea sometimes just to walk out of a thrift store, and it's okay to leave with nothing. I know a lot of people would be like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing if he's leaving with nothing. Trust me, sometimes it's just not worth it. You're not finding anything, and it's okay to leave. You know, every once in a while I'll go on a sourcing trip where I'll hit 8 or 10 stores in a day. make a day of it, go to Boston or something like that. If I really need inventory, if I feel in the mood. I don't do it as much in the wintertime just because I just hate going out. It's kind of like a wintertime. I don't want to do nothing. But on average, I probably work. I mean, you're always shipping. I mean, so I'm guessing that's work. I put in easy 40 hours every week, if not more. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd probably put in a lot more. My wife kind of calms me down and kind of, hey, no more work. 5 o'clock, that's your cutoff. You're going home. And it helps because I would just want to stay at it and just keep doing it all day long and just see the sourcing or listing. That's all I want to do. And part of that is probably due for when I worked in the restaurant. I'd go 3 months, 4 months without a day off. I'd work 80 to 100 hours a week. So sometimes I feel like I always have to go. I always have to be doing something. And sometimes that's why I just enjoy making these videos and stuff like that too, because I just feel like I need to do something to occupy myself or my time, you know. Um, Rick the Picker, how many times do you buy something of the same brand before deciding or not to sell? Deciding if not one to sell. I guess there's certain brands that maybe you pick up that were hot a few years ago. Like years ago, you would get pretty good money for a Versace Umo or Seven Diamonds or shoot, what are some of these other damn shirts? They all have this specific Thomas Dean. They all have that embroidery flip cuff design, and I'm kind of thinking that design style of shirt has changed a little bit. English Laundry was another one. These shirts would do pretty well in the $30 to $40 range, and I kind of think it's kind of slowed down a little bit on that style, like the Robert Graham style shirts. The Robert Graham still, for the most part, still bring very good money. That brand seems to run hot and cold. They'll bring very good money certain times of the year, and other times of the year it seems like they die off a little bit and slow down for whatever reason. But for the most part, I'm trying to close a window or two here and get back. Okay. So, it's kind of depends. I'll buy a brand and then I see it's not moving maybe over a few times in a while. And if it's not moving, it's probably not worth my time buying that brand anymore, and I'll put it aside. It depends. Like if it's something that's new with tags, I'd probably mess with it or anything like that. But there's certain styles of shirt that I think are just played out. See here. All right. Yvette Anderson question. Do you feel it's necessary to open an eBay store, if at all? I think it's a thing of choice to open an eBay store. You get some benefits. You can run an eBay. I believe you can only run sales on if you have an eBay store. You can use the markdown manager. You can put your store on vacation and change your handling time, so you can still sell stuff when on vacation, and your buyers will know that, hey, this person's out of town for 10 days, so they're not going to ship till they come back. But you get an idea of you get the idea of that. And then, but if you're selling over a certain percentage, let's say, I want to say it's like 200 items. If you have about 200 items listed, you're listing them every month, that many, it might be cheaper to go with the $15 a month store, because you get so many free listings, and it'll actually help you and save a little bit of money on your fees and stuff like that. So I mean, it depends on what your needs are, but I've almost always had a store since I got to like 150 things, and part of it was because of the needs that were for me with the vacation setting and also the markdown manager. Forgot my place here with questions. All right, treasure expert, how long will you keep your original starting price before you reduce it? I lowered after 30 days and then again after 30 days, and I set it at a price. I really don't mess with my pricing. Once I price something, it stays about there and I just let it be. And that's about it. Um, you know, if something's been around for 6 months, a year, then I'm kind of like, okay, that's got to go. I got to move that on. That's got to go, and I'll lower the price, and you know, some eventually it will move. At least I'm happy to move it. Um, you know, but I don't really go in there. I mean, I use the markdown manager and run sales anywhere from usually 5 to 25% off. You know, I think this past weekend I had 30% off just because it's been a little slow for the month. I'm getting the same amount of sales actually, but I'm actually my sales per item is dropped down a little bit lower than where it's been in a long time. So SMTX, how often do you get returns on suits? I stopped being as active with them because they take up room and a lot of them 10%. Tell you the truth, I almost never get a return on a sport coat or a suit. Um, I don't know why that is, but I can't remember the last time I even got a return on one of those. It's been a while. Most of my returns are on women's clothing, you know. Um, the background is it's just a mirror with this like wrought iron thing, and actually those things are actually light decoration. They're hearts actually that my wife put up for um, Valentine's Day, but it's kind of funny. Um, so I never really had too many returns on suits and stuff like that. But see, keep going here. I got a bunch of questions I'm still trying to get to, and I keep seeing more come up. But let me see here. Louis the Seller. What's your listing process? Do you break it down, take pictures all day, then take the measurements the next day, etc.? Like I said, Louis, earlier, my wife takes the pictures, so she'll have everything kind of pictured and taken down. Then I kind of take the items from her, and I kind of measure as I list the item. As the pictures are loading, I'll do the measurements, and then I add them to the listing. And I just do it that way. I feel that it's easy, less mistake. If I'm going to write a bunch of things down on a piece of paper, I feel like somehow, some way, I will mess that up. I'll write down somehow the transformation between the measuring tape to my brain to the piece of paper is somehow going to get messed up, and I'm going to have an issue later on. So I kind of do it that way. I'll list a bunch of, like I said, the same items. I'll go with a bunch of dress shirts and then move on to casual shirts and then move on to suits and so on and so forth. That way, for me, it works quickly if I'm doing sell similar, and I already have an idea of what price I want. I can get through that, but I can't remember the last time I took pictures of an item. It's been a while. Tyboy345, what was your best haul ever? For one item from a thrift store, it had to be Laurel Piana 100% cashmere Voyager jacket. It was like a 3-button casual sport coat. I paid like 14 for it. It sold within a few hours of me listing it for 500. So that was my best thrift store find. I've done a little better off some private deals off of Craigslist. I sold a Buccelli, some Italian name, Bucello. I forgot the name of how to pronounce the name exactly, but it was a suede and cashmere. It was like suede uh, jacket front, and the sleeves were cashmere. And that I got like 620 for it on auction. Um, and that sold pretty well for me. I only paid 50 for that jacket, so that was a pretty good sale. Best haul at a best. My best hauls tend to come from estate sales where they're just trying to blow out the clothing, and I stumble onto them. And yes, that one, Millie, and it has a name after it too. I have no idea how to pronounce it or say it, and my brain's just it's not coming through. But yeah, I forgot now where we're going. But yeah, I can't say. Best finds are you tend to be from estate sales where stuff's pretty priced pretty cheap. I've gotten like Brioni jackets for $4 or um, just stuff real cheap because the estate sales don't know what it is and they just want to get rid of it and move it on. And I mean, yeah, and they just don't know about clothing, and you just stumble in there. They won't even advertise clothing, and you come in there, and it's a bunch of good stuff. Those have been the best ones. I've walked away with estate sales where I've spent a few $100s and I'll profit between $3,000 and $5,000 when it's all said and done. Some of the stuff, higher end stuff, because you get asked a higher end price, more top price. You're looking for a specific buyer. I'm looking for that specific buyer. Sometimes you just gotta wait for that person to come, but it's there. Um, Questions are adding up. Then we have here, funny how my life is sunny. How do you handle a shirt with a no size? Um, I do measurements and kind of you get an idea. A small is gonna run like 20, 21 in the chest. A medium's gonna run like 22, 23, and you kind of get an idea of where a shirt should fit. And I just put in the listing, no size tag, and I'll either put like large, extra large, and let them kind of debate where it should fit or not. And I've never had any issues. I've run into a bunch of jackets lately where that's become an issue, like overcoats and stuff like that, where they don't have size tags. Vintage Mafia, that's a great score right there. I've yet to find any. I found some Hermes dress shirts this summer at a yard sale, believe it or not. And I found a bunch of ties, but I've never found anything other than that. Um, so I take measurements and kind of go by that. If it seems super small, small, medium. If it seems a little bigger, like 24, 25, it's going to be a large, extra large, and so on and so forth, and just go from there. What works for you? Let me see here. Got another one from Susanna. Do Coogee jeans and shirts sell well? I don't seem to have good luck. The only thing I will pick up of Coogee really is the sweaters. They're the only things that I could actually find that have any value. And you can get very good money for the sweaters, but I've come across a few in the past that either I think they're fake, or um, I'm not 100% sure, so I'll leave it behind. and just walk away and just keep going. It doesn't really. I'm not going to risk my account over something I think possibly could be fake, but the sweaters are really the only thing. The sweaters, and if you could find the larger shirts, they seem to do well. The 3, the 4, the 5X shirts seem to do well. I haven't sold one in quite a long time, but the jeans are just ugly as hell, though. I mean, they just serve no purpose, I think. But Alvin Smith, so what are you saying is clothing is not a quick flip? Clothing can be a quick flip. Auction your stuff. Start your stuff at 99-cent auction and let it go. That's as quick as you're going to get it on auctions. I've seen people price stuff really low and they complain that they're not selling it. You know, some people sell it real quick, some people don't. You know, and it kind of depends on what price points you got. I know there's a reseller close to me that she buys her stuff and almost none of her stuff sits for more than a month. She'll start something at like $30, and if it ain't selling within a few days, she marks that stuff down to like down cheap, and then she'll auction it off usually at 99 cents. So there's ways to do it, but clothing for the most part is a longer tail thing. You have stuff that sells extremely quick, and then sport coat suits tend to, if you're buying jackets in the middle of summer, you're going to be sitting on them for a few months most likely. So you just have to, know that not everything is going to sell at all the time. I picked up a pair of shorts the other day. I mean, if they sell now, they sell now, but I'm not really expecting them to sell at this moment. Preston, how do you deal with negative feedback? I really don't. I get one or two every year, and as long as it's not too bad, sometimes I just leave it there. It's like a scar. I'm happy. Hey, look, I got a scar from cooking. I just leave it there. It's not that big of a deal. Sometimes it depends on how much feedback you're getting. I get about 100 a month, so to have one, it's not going to hurt me over the course of a year. But I could see if you're doing maybe you're getting only 10 or 12 feedback a month, then you get one. I could see where it's going to hurt your score a lot more. But if it's something that you can always call eBay. Call eBay, especially during normal business hours. Don't be trying to call them right now, because most likely you're going to get somebody in another country, and they really don't have any power to do anything. And the waiting times is crazy. So, negative feedback, as long as you don't really have an issue where it's your fault and you might be able to fight it, I would call. There's times where I've had to call eBay 4 times to get something that was so obvious lifted. Lately, I've been getting a few negative feedback about UK buyers and their VAT tax. Like, they can't figure out they owe VAT tax on something. And eBay, as soon as I call up eBay, I get somebody right through. I'll get through. I usually call first thing in the morning, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning my time, and I'll get somebody, and usually it's like, hey, they can't leave anything about taxes. And the lady go, hold on a second, let me check your feedback. What transactions is for? And then she comes back, okay, that'll be removed in a day. Thank you very much. There's certain times, certain things that people just can't do. Craigslist Hunter, what's up, brother? The question is, what is your goal in the next 3 to 5 years? I really don't have a goal that far in advance. I think it's kind of my biggest thing right now is I want to travel more. I want to see more of the country. I want to do different things. So really is to build up my business enough to where I can spend more time on the road and more time to see certain things and just have fun and do that. I'll probably at one point get out of clothing and jump back into cars or maybe deal with more vintage advertising, things I like. But for the most part, I do not like. I don't mind clothing. I'll probably never get out of clothing, but I'll probably get into other things eventually. As most people, you want to grow, you want to make money in other things. Use eBay, use selling eBay as a stepping stone to something else, no matter what it may be. And that's a preference. You don't have to. You can, eBay's working right for you and it's making money. Stay with it. I mean, eBay's been here for what now, 20 years? It ain't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's probably better than it's ever been. More people watching, more people buying, more people selling. Excuse me. What everyday brands sell well for you? Brand that sells well for me is, believe it or not, like Brooks Brothers. Just your bread and butter kind of things. Peter Millar golf shirts. Um, that's the kind of stuff that actually sells. Pays my bills and stuff like that. Is that run of the mill bread and butter stuff, and then you get those nice, $300-400 scores here and there. You get a few $100 scores, and next thing you got some nice you get some nice sales. Uh, Starting to need glasses, I think here. Big question: do you think you could make $1 million in a year doing reselling? Is that a goal of yours? I mean, you could make $1 million reselling. There's people that do it. Thing is, do I want to do it? Do I want to be that big? That means I'd probably need a bigger warehouse than what I have now. That means I'd probably have to hire some employees. And we're talking about eBay. I mean, because I think I could do that in other platforms like Amazon, and I'd probably be unhappy if I had to go sourcing at retail arbitrage stores for my merchandise to sell. But for eBay, it could be done, but I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. But there's sellers that make $20 million on Amazon a month, probably. I mean, on eBay, that lady, what's her name, Linda's Closet or whatever, does the consignment thing. I think she does crazy money. And there's other ones that are just as big as her too. They just don't get the recognition. Do you do auctions at all, and have you ever done less than 7-day auctions? I've done a bunch of different auctions in the past. I've never really had so many. I've never had much luck with auctions. We used to do auctions all the time early on, and it's kind of like one of those things. It's just never it never worked out for me. I mean, at one point or again, I'm gonna have to run auctions just to clear some stuff out that ain't selling. But I've done 1-day auctions and stuff like that. Auctions are a good way to move unselling merchandise, drop the price low, just add shipping, whatever you do. And then why don't you do best offer on your items? I hate best offer. I run best offer on about 5 or 6 things, and that's it. I really don't like it. It's too much of a pain in the butt. It just, I just hate dealing with people getting lowball offers and stuff like that. That I just don't like. There's just nothing I like about best offer. I try it, and then everything I listed, I'm getting nailed with offers 50% lower than that I like, and I just I'm not accustomed to that. I don't like that, you know. Question, do you try to keep a certain amount of inventory in your store, or does it depend on how much you buy? I mean, there's always a amount of stuff that you have to have in my store. It's always around 700. I think last Thanksgiving 2014, we're going back here now, like, I don't know, 13, 14 months. We got to 1,020 items in our store. But we went on like a month-long vacation in December. We went down to Florida for 2 months. And then we went to Dominican Republic for 2.5 months. I mean, 2.5 weeks or so. Went to Florida for like 2.5 weeks. The old vacation days where I used to take off for a lot longer. But and we didn't list, but we still had our vacation settings on. So it was like one day we came back, shipped out 80, 90 things, and then came back again, shipped out 80, 90 things when we came back from the Dominican Republic. So it was kind of good. But I've never been able. And then last winter, it just sucked up east there. It was just terrible. I mean, it was so bad, the weather, that I didn't go out for weeks at a time. I mean, it just affected our sales. It affected me, I think, personally, the nasty weather. I every time this time of year comes, I really start thinking about moving south. And it doesn't help. The warehouse is like a meat locker. I kind of feel like I'm in a walk-in fridge at the restaurant or something. It is cold in there, and once you get cold, your body doesn't heat up. It just feels like your feet or your hands are cold. You can't type with gloves on or anything like that. And we have heat in there. It's just not insulated well enough, and I don't know. But and a lot of it does depend on how much money. Because if you have a slow week and you're full time like this, where you're not reliant on your girlfriend's income or your wife's income to help pay out the bills when you have a small week, you kind of sometimes you have to put the brakes on your spending. You might not be able to go out that week. Sometimes for us around the middle of the month, it seems like every bill I have is due in the beginning of the month, other than like one bill. And I know sometimes I get myself a little stretched, not paying attention to spending and so on and so forth. So, Black Eye Joe, do you wash or dry clean every item, or just ones that need it? Just ones that need it. Believe it or not, a lot of the stuff we get from thrift stores have already been dry cleaned. They all have the dry clean tags on them. I'll stay away from things I think that need too much attention. And another thing, I don't carry it with me as often as I forget now. But when we at the office at the house, I'd always grab our with the Tide washable pens. You shake them and you could rub it on the clothing to see if a stain comes out. Sometimes you'll run across something that is a stain and you're not sure if it's going to come out or not. And the last thing you want to be doing is spitting on a piece of clothing and going with your hand to see if it's going to come out. So we used to carry those little pens and rub it on it and see if something came out, or see if it was possibly removable, because you don't want to spend good money, but you don't want to leave behind something that potentially has a good return on it, but it has a slight, what could be a flaw that could be cleaned up. It just maybe was not washed before it was donated or whatnot. Treasure Expert, is it smart to do 99-cent auctions? I don't know if it's smart or not. I've never done it. I've never had the balls to do it, but people do it all the time, and some people make a very good living, doing auctions on eBay. I would hate to do it. They're the people I'm buying all stuff from. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna cut it off here. I want to thank you all for coming through tonight. I hope I helped out a few people understand. If there's any other questions you have on this kind of stuff, just leave it down below after this video ends, and I'll try to answer them or whatnot and help you out the best I can. Want to wish you all a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.